Hi, first graders and first grade parents. Miss Pagan here. Today is Monday. We're going to talk about what we're going to do for journal today. Hopefully you had a chance to view the video on our Language Arts website. It showed a biography of an inventor. The story was called The Story of a Robot Inventor. And it's about an inventor in Japan who invented special kinds of robots. So hopefully you had a chance to view that online because that will help us with our journal today. Today we're going to be working on an informational writing. We've done one of these a week since we started distance learning. So just like with all of our writing, we need to make sure we have out all of our materials that we'll need, including your journal, a piece of paper or a whiteboard, and something to write with. You're going to want to make sure that you start with the date. So today is the 11th of May. So we would write 5/11/2020, and then we'd write our name and then our classroom number. So again, in order to do the journal today, you will have had to have listened to or read the story about the robot inventor Takahashi, because this informational writing that we're going to do today will be describing what he's done, the things that he's invented, the things that he's created. So our question for today says, what does Takahashi do? Describe his work. So what students are going to get a chance to do first, just like we always do with journal, is they're going to get a chance to do some drawing. So they're going to have about 10 to 12 minutes to think about what were some of the robots, what were some of the things that Takahashi invented. And if students need to go back and view the video again, they can do that because there are pictures that go along with the story that they can use to help them draw their picture. So after they've gone back, checked out what the robots look like, they can then go ahead and work on their picture again for about 10 to 12 minutes. After they're done with their picture, we're going to be ready to start with our topic sentence. If you remember, a topic sentence introduces what we're writing about. And for us today, because it's an informational writing, our topic sentence is going to introduce who we're going to be writing about, especially once we get to the detail sentences. So our topic sentence choices, there are 3 of them today. They're all sentence starters, and students will have to fill in what's left of the sentence, what part is missing. So the first one says, let me tell you about, and then there's a blank. So in that blank space, that's where students are going to think, what am I writing about today? Oh, that's right. I'm writing about what Takahashi does, what he does. What is he known for? So their sentence could say something like, let me tell you about the things Takahashi does, because that would be addressing the question. But they could also word it a little bit differently if they'd like to. It's up to them. The next choice says, I know a lot about, and then there's a blank. So again, they could say, I know a lot about the things Takahashi has invented. And that would be a great way to introduce what their writing's going to be about. Or they can use, I can describe. And then there's their blank. So they can come up with something like, I can describe all the things Takahashi does. That again would be going back to the question and addressing that in a really nice topic sentence. So students should choose one topic sentence. Just like in previous journals, they need to make sure that they think about what they're going to say first, verbalize it out loud, and then once they check with somebody that they're working with to make sure that it makes sense, they can go ahead and write. After they write their first sentence, just like we always do, they're going to make sure they write on the left, starting at the very first part of the line, writing all the way down, and then doing their quick checks, checking for a capital letter at the beginning, finger space in between their words, a period at the end of their sentence, and going back to whisper read to make sure that it makes sense, that their letters are nicely on the line, and to make sure that they didn't leave anything out. After they have done their topic sentence, it's going to be time to do the details. So again, this part's going to be very important that students have actually watched or listened to the story because the details that they come up with are going to have to be directly pulled from the story. So again, if they haven't watched it, this part's going to be maybe a little bit tricky. So you may want to pause, go back and double check, watch the video with them, and then they can go back and go ahead and do their journal. So for detail 1, this is where students are going to start to describe some of the things that Takahashi does. He's a robot inventor, and he's invented lots of different robots that have different capabilities. So this is where they can start to describe those things. Now, we are going to use those transition words, or time transition words. So students should make sure that when they're referring back to the video, that they start at the beginning and start to think about what did he do kind of first? What did he do in the first part of the story? So that we're making sure that we stay with the order of time. So that tomorrow when they work on detail 2 and 3, we'll make sure that those come in the middle and then the end of the story. So we want to make sure that we go in a time order. So they again get to choose one detail sentence starter to describe what Takahashi does, what he's known for doing. They can choose first, with a comma, Takahashi blank. So again, that blank space is where they're going to describe what is something he's done, what is he known for doing, and it'll be there in the story. They could choose first of all, with their comma, Takahashi blank, again, describing something from the story that he's done. They can choose to start with a comma, Takahashi blank, finishing their sentence with what they know from the story, or to begin with a comma, Takahashi, and then a blank. So, just like with previous sentences, students are going to, first of all, pick the one that they want to choose. They're going to think about what they want to say, share it out loud, and if it makes sense, then they're going to go ahead and write it down in their journal. So making sure that they start their next sentence where they ended their first sentence. After they write their sentence, again, they'll go back and do their quick checks, checking for their uppercase letter at the beginning, their finger space, their commas, because they'll be using transition words this time, their periods, and then going back to whisper read to make sure it makes sense and all their letters are nicely placed on the line. So by the end of today, students should have their picture of something from the story. They should have their topic sentence written and their first detail. Tomorrow we'll be finishing with our second detail, our third detail, and then we'll be ending with our conclusion. So hopefully you were able to work with your child to get that done for today. If you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me or your child's teacher, and happy writing.